Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Arizona Lithium Investor Webinar. I'm Jane Morgan, the Investor and Media Relations Manager, and today I am joined by Managing Director Paul Lloyd, Technical Director Brett Rabe, and Executive Director Zach Maurer. Today's webinar will be a company update followed by a Q&A session. Paul, I'll hand over to you.
Thanks, Jane, and I'd like to welcome shareholders to the Emerald Park Company's facility in Regina, Canada. And as you would be aware, the pilot plant is operating in the background, and that's a very significant milestone for the development of the project. I've been talking for quite a while now about fast-tracking our two large lithium development projects in North America, and it's very satisfying to have got a number of announcements out in regards to that. And it's really satisfying also to be up here in Regina and seeing how hard these guys are working to put this pilot plant into a full state of commissioning and producing product for further downstream processing. I'll let Brett explain that in a few minutes, but just to update shareholders in regards to what we've been doing more recently, we have produced very high-grade lithium carbonate from brine from the Prairie project, and Brett will talk about that project, that process in a few minutes. We put that announcement out a while back now, and our tech team were very excited about that. We have also cleared the first commercial pad for the construction of Canada's first lithium brine project. And that was a very exciting milestone, and Zach will talk about that one in a few minutes also, and we do have a video to play. We are at the moment commissioned the pilot plant, and that will produce material for further processing down at the Lithium Research Centre. So we're advancing both projects on many fronts, and we look forward to commercial production at Prairie in the first half of 2025. And a significant part of that is the completion of our PFS, and that's on track for completion by the end of the year. So we'll be reporting some very robust financial numbers, and the market will be very surprised by how good this project is. We haven't forgotten about the Big Sandy project, and I have very open communications with the Bureau of Land Management, and the NTEC are very cooperative and assisting us greatly with that process. So for the shareholders that have been in the stock for a long time, the Prairie project, I hope we're demonstrating to you that the Prairie project was worth every cent we paid for it, and that we haven't forgotten about the Big Sandy project, and I spend considerable time on that project. So I'll hand over to Brett to just quickly talk about how he produced very high-grade lithium carbonate from the brine. Thanks, Brett.
Thanks, Paul. Yeah, so one of the things that the advantages that we get with direct lithium extraction technology, using that in the flow sheet, is that it makes an extremely pure kind of midstream product. So after we go through DLE, we go through cross-flow reverse osmosis. That makes a very high purity 20,000 ppm lithium solution. Starting the lithium carbonate production process from that step significantly reduces the complexity and really cost with making lithium carbonate. So in our process, in fact, all we did at the research center is we simply take the CFRO product, the cross-flow reverse osmosis product. We add a soda ash solution at the right temperature and pH, and lithium carbonate crashes out. In fact, 99.9% purity lithium carbonate. So this is really, DLE has lots of advantages. Of course, it's extracting lithium without evaporation, solar evaporation. But an equally important benefit from DLE is that it makes a very high purity midstream product that significantly de-risks and the downstream process, making it much, much easier to make a battery grade product.
Zach, did you want to talk in regards to the clearing of the pad? And you're very excited about that. So a good job, and explain it to shareholders.
Yeah, it's selecting the location for our first commercial extraction facility. It's a very exciting milestone because although we've built pads and drilled exploration wells in the past, we've never had the confidence that we've needed to select the location before. But that's all been made possible by our team of great geologists that have done the work to determine where our best pad location should be. So the selection of this location really is based on years of exploration and development in the region. And it's made possible because of the efficient regulatory framework that's here in Saskatchewan, the access to the skills, the infrastructure that we need to go out and build these pads and develop this project, and also support from the local stakeholders that we have within the region here has been second to none. So this well pad is important because it is the first step towards commercialization of lithium production in Saskatchewan. And having the ground prepared allows us to be opportunistic in the first half of 2024 and put in the first production and disposal wells. So again, building pads is a common practice, and we're looking forward to continuing to work with the ministry and the regulatory officials to permit the wells and the lithium extraction facility itself. But this is definitely a good milestone and a significant step in project progress. So we do have a video prepared for everyone that'll highlight how these well pads are built and just really highlight the expediency of the skills and services that we have access to here in Southeast Saskatchewan, operating in a very robust oil and gas region. So with that, Jane, I think we're good to play the video.
I hope the shareholders enjoyed that video. It is on the website if you wanted to watch it again. And we have been throwing a lot of resources at the commissioning of the pilot plant, and our full team has been working 24 hours a day on that. And I'd just like Brett and Zach to sort of detail the work that's been done and how it's progressing to date.
Sure. So we are just finished. We've just finished our second day of commissioning. So we are about at steady state right now. With this type of technology, it does take takes about 2 days to get to optimal nominal rate. So we're feeding at about 3.5 liters a minute, and we're producing about 500 to 600 liters a day. So in fact, we've already produced our first 250 gallons of concentrate at over 1,000 ppm lithium. And we'll be doing this now for through into January. So we're looking forward to making a lot of product where we will take it back to Arizona and produce battery grade lithium carbonate from that in our new crystallizer.
Zach, you mentioned this morning to me that being the vendor of the project, it was extremely exciting to see the pilot plant rock up. If you want to share that with the shareholders.
Yeah, I think one word to summarize what I see here is impressive. It's impressive to see the work ethic of everyone on the team, everyone banding together to get to execute on this project, to have everything we need in place, and to have everything commissioned within a matter of 48 hours. It's impressive. So it's been an exciting couple of days, and as Paul mentioned, everyone's been working hard. So it's great to see the fruits of the labor paying off.
And we have a growing team, but still a fairly small team, but extremely dedicated. And at the same time of running the pilot plant, we're also continuing with the PFS, and that's on track for completion at the end of the year, as I previously mentioned. And Brett will just give us a little bit of an update of how that's all going along.
Yeah, so all of our major equipment packages are in. Effectively, the project is into the estimating phase right now. So no surprises. Everything is anticipated in terms of the flow sheet, and we're looking forward to completing that before Christmas and moving on to the next phase for the project.
Thanks, Brett. The Prairie project has a very large resource of 5.7 million tonnes of LCE, and that's about 8 years of the current world consumption of lithium. So it's a very large resource. We will grow that resource in the future, but the way to monetize that is to drill production holes. And Zach is working with his geologists to do that. And do you want to elaborate further on that, Zach?
Yeah, so I grew up in the region here. So seeing drilling rigs in our oil fields was a common sight for me. So it's something that it's second nature to see, and it's something it's in our blood here in Southeast Saskatchewan in terms of drilling these wells. So as I mentioned earlier, working with the regulatory officials to finalize our applications on our production and disposal wells. But on that note, we've drilled wells in the past for our project. There's been hundreds of thousands of wells drilled through the Williston Basin, exploring for all types of resources. And we can drill our wells utilizing the same oil rigs that are drilling oil wells, same drilling rigs that are drilling potash wells, the same drilling rigs that are drilling helium wells, geothermal wells. Our access to the services that we need and the skills that we need to drill these wells, it exists right here in Southeast Saskatchewan. So drilling these wells is always exciting, and we've got an exciting program planned for the first half of next year. And we're gung-ho, and we're excited to kick it off, because field work is always fun and drilling wells is always fun.
Thanks. Brett talked previously about the production of high-grade lithium carbonate. That was produced internally at the Lithium Research Centre, and we had that independently verified. But that is one of the advantages, the commercial advantages we have obtaining now from building the Lithium Research Centre. It's not fully complete, but I just asked Brett to update shareholders on where we're at with the LRC. I think it will end up being a very effective asset for the company.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. So in talking about the LRC, everything that we are currently developing for the Prairie Lithium flow sheet is also going to be involved in the Big Sandy flow sheet. The Big Sandy flow sheet obviously starts out differently, being that it's a sedimentary ore. We have to go through a leaching step and a concentration step. But once we get to that point where a sulfate brine, we'll use basically the same flow sheet as we're using for Prairie. So as we're developing the pilot plants in Arizona, to process Prairie Lithium concentrate, it's the same exact equipment we're using for Big Sandy. So we're actually developing both projects at the same time. So we've all of our major pieces of equipment have been ordered. We're waiting for them to arrive. The last piece of equipment will be the crystallizer. This is a crystallizer that can process 1,000 gallons of feed material in a day. So we'll actually be able to make a pretty decent amount of lithium carbonate. The cross-flow reverse osmosis technology gets in a little bit before that. And prior to that, we'll be making our own direct lithium extraction product, as well as processing the stuff from the third party that we're making right now.
Thanks, Brett. So in summary, the news flow over the next 12 months is extremely exciting for the company, and we believe that we'll create substantial shareholder value from that news flow as we head into production. So the first item on that news flow will be the pilot plant. We've announced today that we've commissioned that. That will be running for 4 to 6 weeks, and Brett will take that material down to the LRC, as we talked about. But in addition, we'll definitely finish the PFS by the end of the year, publish that, and go straight into detailed engineering designs and drilling. I've worked 10 years in the drilling industry. I'm very excited about drilling, and it'll be very exciting to drill exploration and production wells at the Prairie Project for the first module, remembering that this project can be implemented on a modular basis. So that first module will be the production of 6,000 tons of lithium carbonate over 3 pads, and we will start the construction of that in the new year with the drilling of production wells. We marked out one of those pads, as we showed on the video. We'll complete the construction of 2 more pads next year and drill all the holes. So production for Q1 in 2025, excuse me, is a realistic expectation. And then we bolt on additional modules and build those modules out as we advance the project. That's a huge attraction to this project, and one of the reasons why we acquired the project, and the modular basis, so limited capital expenditure. We're not staring down a $1 billion capex on this project like a lot of other lithium projects. They're highly profitable, and they produce a very high quality product. So we believe that the lithium brine industry will revolutionize the lithium industry, and we're going to be a big player in that revolution. So we look forward to that, and I look forward to building on the team that we have, and are very satisfied with where we've got to date, and extremely proud of the team and what we've accomplished. So look out for announcements in regards to the company, and be rest assured that the small team is working very hard to create shareholder value. So Jane, did we have any questions from shareholders?
We do. We're getting quite a few questions coming through. And again, please use the Q&A function, which can be found at the bottom of your screen. Let me jump into it. So, Brett, I'm going to hand over to you for this one. So once the pilot plant produces high purity lithium using the third-party DLE technology, what are the next steps in scaling up?
Thanks, Jane. So the product after DLE is already quite pure. So we go right into to water removal. And the most cost-effective way to remove water is using reverse flow osmosis. So we'll take a roughly 1,100 ppm lithium solution. We'll use reverse osmosis technology and take that to 20,000 ppm lithium. We do reject some impurities in that process, but for the most part, all we're doing is removing water. And then at that point, we add soda ash solution, and we produce 99+% lithium carbonate in a single step, and to a dryer, and to bulk product load out.
Wonderful. I'm going to stick with you for this one as well. So what are the numbers on the waste brine, and how would the acid be disposed of?
So we don't use any acid with this technology. So there are different types of DLE technology. With what we're testing right now, We do not have to use an acid to strip lithium from the sorbent. So, all of our barren lithium brine is pumped down the disposal well. There isn't anything foreign or anything new we've added to that brine. All we've done is take it out of the ground, remove the lithium, and send it right back again. So we do not have an acid residue or a waste or anything like that in our flow sheet in this process.
And I think to bolt on to that, we're demonstrating that here at the pilot plant. We've got brine from a well that we drilled. We're pulling the lithium out of it, and then the waste brine is going down to a disposal site right now. So we're demonstrating that right now.
Perfect, thank you. Paul, I'll hand to you for this one. So if the third-party DLE technology works for Prairie, what would the commercial arrangement be between AZL and the provider? So for example, would it be on a license agreement with an upfront fee or an ongoing based on production?
Yes, that's a good question, because some of the DLE suppliers have asked for percentages of projects, etc. And we've been able to negotiate a royalty regime with this DLE third-party supplier. It suits us. We want to retain 100% control of our project, and we're getting on very well with that supplier. And remembering that this is the third phase of the testing program. So if the results are as good as the first and second phase, then we'll quickly enter into an agreement, and it will be on a royalty basis.
Perfect, thank you for that. So Paul, I'll actually hand to you for this one. So what financing options are available for the first module of Prairie?
Yes, we give that a lot of consideration, and that's also a very good question. We're now at the stage where we're very close to finalising our PFS, and that will help with financing and capital raising. In addition, Brett will receive a large amount of lithium brine that he can produce lithium carbonate, and we can provide that to potential off-takers and strategic investors. So we believe with the product that we are going to produce and our production profile that we will have a large number of potential strategic investors or off-takers. We're talking to a number of them at the moment, and the number will increase significantly when we get those PFS numbers out.
Thank you, Paul. Just further to that then. So is there the possibility to partner with an EV or battery manufacturer to provide part of the financing?
Anyone who understands the lithium industry and the demand that is there and the massive shortage in supply would understand that those EV manufacturers are talking to anyone at all that has a reasonable grade product and has a real production profile. So yes, we are talking to a number of them, and we can effectively be quite selective. And yeah, we're kind of like one of the prettiest girls at the dance at the moment.
Wonderful. Jumping around a bit here, Brett, this is for you. So with Prairie going into production on a modular basis, do you need to use the same DLE technology for each module?
No, we don't. And in fact, as we've said before, we're also developing our own DLE technology. The technology that we're testing now, it's been being developed now for about 10 years. So it's quite mature, and we like where it is right now. We have our own technology, and we're probably maybe a year or two from having that ready. So the nice thing about our model is that we can have different types of direct lithium extraction technology at each well pad. We are not we do not have to commit to a giant chemical plant. We have many very small ones, and each one can have different technology or different direct lithium extraction sorbents.
Thank you for that. Zach, I might hand to you for this one. So how will Prairie be scaled up on this modular basis?
Yeah, so it's very akin to the oil and gas industry again. What a lot of people might not know about the oil and gas industry in Southeast Saskatchewan is the wells produce typically at the end of life 98 to 99% brine water cut. So a lot of the wells that you see here are actually brine wells. So if you think of that from a conceptual basis, and you look at the oil and gas industry, they have multiple wells feeding a central facility, and they replicate that across their land base. So when I started the Prairie Project, that was the business model that I wanted to employ. I wanted to take, what is traditionally large capex mining projects and look at them in a new way and implement this oil and gas style of development and really break it down. So we've got a couple of wells feeding these smaller facilities so that we can replicate them across our land base.
Thank you, Zach. Another one for you, actually. So what are the next steps in the pad construction at Prairie?
Yeah, the next steps are continuing to work through the permitting with the regulatory officials for the wells and the facility itself. And then moving into drilling thereafter.
Thank you. Brett, one for you. So could you provide an update on the development of the LRC and our other lithium companies, research partners, or technology providers looking to utilize it?
Sure, yes. So we're really kind of waiting for just the final pieces, the final components to come in to complete the flow sheet. But we are on the Big Sandy side, we've been pursuing alternatives to sulfuric acid for leaching now for quite some time. So we've got some very promising work that's been done on the bench scale here just recently, and we'll be doing that on a large bulk scale. And then we've also are working with a CFRO provider, Gradient. They will have their technology, and we'll be perfecting that for our process, not only for Prairie Lithium, but we'll use CFRO technology to remove water in the Big Sandy leachate as well.
Thank you, Brett. This one's come through a few times, gentlemen. So Paul, I'll hand to you. The Prairie Project seems to be more significant in size than Big Sandy. However, are you able to provide updates on where AZL is with the BLM approvals?
Yeah, the Prairie Project is a project that doesn't require the sort of capital expenditure that the Big Sandy does. But the Big Sandy project is a very big project, and we've got a lot of encouragement from the state and federal governments, and we're working through the Bureau of Land Management approval process. And we have, as I mentioned previously, we have NTEC, so Navajo Nation mining arm, helping us with liaison with the various stakeholders. And I'm confident that we will receive that drilling, and we will drill that project out and expand the mine life from a current 12 years to something like 50 years, take a bulk sample, allow Brett to complete the DFS and advance that project. But in the shorter term, Prairie is the production asset. We're a very shareholder-focused organisation, and we see that creating value for shareholders in the short term is definitely the Prairie Project. In the long term, yes, it is the Big Sandy, and we are working towards drilling approvals and further studies. In regards to that shareholder focus, the NASDAQ listing is, we're still doing the work on the NASDAQ listing, but we have decided to hold off given the market conditions and the creation of value that we see from the release of the PFS and the commencement of drilling production wells, etc. So we're on a fast track on the development of Prairie, and we see that value will be created. I'd urge shareholders to do their own research and have a look at some of the other lithium companies on the ASX and potentially on US exchanges, and just have a look at their resource and see where they're at and where they're looking to, when they are looking to produce lithium. And I think you'll find that we are significantly undervalued. So we see that we can create value quickly and then look to a NASDAQ listing that will create even additional value.
Thank you, Paul. And just conscious of time here, but so in summary, what key performance objectives can we be expecting for 2024?
So the reporting of the pilot test results will be very significant, and then the numbers in the PFS, the very robust financial numbers. Obviously, we haven't completed those numbers, and they'll include capital expenditure numbers. That will give Zach the impetus to start drilling, and we will look towards a strategic investor or an offtake partner and signing those people up before we start spending very large, not a very large capital expenditure on the first module, and then additional modules after that. So we have some events that will create value, and it'll be a very exciting next 6 months for the company.
Does the presence of varying levels of hydrocarbons provide any complications in DLE lithium extraction efficiencies?
Traditionally, it could to other projects, but as we've proven out on our exploration programs into the Duperow formations, we have no hydrocarbons that we've hit in any of our exploration wells to date. So it's not something that we look at on our project because we haven't encountered any hydrocarbons in the wells that we've drilled to date into the Duperow.
Wonderful. Well, that is all we have time for today. If we've missed any of your questions, please feel free to reach out via the contact details on the bottom of our ASX releases. But we look forward to hosting you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.